Welcome to Resource Review from here at the Science Museum in London. We aim to provide a guide to new and interesting resources for schools. So, if you're looking for a fantastic piece of software to spend your spare e-learning credits on, or perhaps a piece of technology that will make a difference to your teaching in the classroom, we're here to help. Today, the focus of our attention will be Key Stage 2 art.
In today's Resource Review, we will be testing specialist crafts modelling materials, including Modrock, Celluclay Instant Papier-Mâché and coloured air-dry clay, and 2Simple's animation software to animate.
To help us come to some decision, we have the Resource Review panel made up of our experts, starting with Ray Barker from the British Educational Suppliers Association. We have Adrienne Jones, who's a freelance education consultant, and our subject expert, Dan China, who's a county art advisor for Buckinghamshire County Council, and Phil Beadle, who's Teacher of the Year 2004. Welcome to you all. Today we'll be looking at real resources being used in the classroom, and the teachers involved are Lucy Thomas and Alexandra Mayer from St Mary of the Angels School in Westminster. Let's see how they got on.
And with these resources we thought we'd all make an angel. I just want you to look at this group of angels here. So, look at the colours.
My name's Lucy Thomas. I am a senior teacher and a class teacher here at St Mary the Angels School in Bayswater.
Does anyone know what this is called? Yeah.
We've been studying sculpturing for the past few weeks and doing lots of using different materials, and here we've been given a batch of 3 different types of materials: mud rock, clay and papier-mâché. And the children behind me are experimenting and investigating with the different materials for their sculpture of an angel, hence St Mary the Angels School. The children felt that the mud rock was the best between the 3. The clay, which I think would be better for years 1, 2 and 3. And they've enjoyed using clay because they've made other things like jewellery using the clay.
I am doing a little bit first.
The papier-mâché had a great kinesthetic feel and it'd be wonderful for nursery. I liked it a lot, and I would actually thoroughly recommend that to be used, because usually we rip the newspaper and get the paste, and it's actually quite a messy process, but this actual product was just a block of mesh paper which you just added water, and it was very, very easy to mix up. You can do it the night before, wrap it in cling film and leave it for the children to use. So, I mean, that would be very beneficial for a school, definitely, instead of lots of newspapers and paper and glue. That was a good resource, something I've never seen. And the mud rock works very well with the older children throughout the school.
Okay, so put it round neatly, so I'd brush that.
And I was cutting a wing like this one, and I was going to stick it down here, so then I could paper mesh it, put it over like that. So had I done here, I was just going to go like that to stick it, and then I was just going to paper measure it there.
Using this ball as a head for the angel and poking it through all the way through to the top, so then I can make a halo.
About the modelling materials, first impressions?
Well, you've got 3 very different processes that the teacher was trying to get involved with. You've got using clay, which is a modelling material, fairly small. You've got the use of Modrock, which is a soft bandage, but you can make really large things with that. You can drape it over the mesh as she was doing there, so you can make really quite large and light and quite strong sculpture there. And papier-mâché is again a modelling material which is light and fairly easy to use. It's nice that it comes in that pack because you can just add water and you don't have to leave it for 4 months soaking and getting festering in a bucket, which is what one used to do. So there are 3 different processes going on there.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, I've seen Modrock being used as part of a project about Britain since the 1930s, and the class were looking at 40s fashions, and they made sculpture models of characters from the 40s using Modrock. But interestingly, they didn't use mesh. They actually had some wire, and they folded up newspaper, and they wrapped the Modrock around that. And the thing about the Modrock is that it's so pliable, and it falls in folds, and you can actually get great detail from it.
I've always had a problem that would just display the walls. With the mesh, etc., and what did you describe them as, armatures?
Armatures, yes, underneath the sculpture.
Yeah, one could actually fill up the space between the children's head and the classroom, which seems to be the obvious place for angels to be for me. I also felt about it that if you notice all the boys in there were utterly engaged, and anything that promotes kinetic and tactile learning amongst young school children, I'm all for.
The magic word there was, I mean, we've all been using it, is easy, and you know, these resources that make teachers' life easy, I think, are magic. And so here you've got, you know, teachers who used to, as you say, spend hours tearing up bits of paper or putting plaster all over bandages, and I mean, teachers pay for that. And I think in terms of cost, you know, it's a school decision. Do you want to pay for that product, or do you want to use your time making that kind of thing? Because you say teachers always want to make good, practical, creative resources for their classroom for display.
OK, for our next resource, we revisit St Mary of the Angels School in Westminster, where Alexandra Mayer is working with a graphic software called 2Animate.
Our theme for this work is angels, okay? So you're going to make some pictures draw some pictures of angels using your tools that you're given on the software, okay? And for each slide, you're going to have to decide how you want the angel to change. Okay, when you're happy with what you've done, you can click on the slide that you want to move on to next.
2Animate allows the children's pictures and designs to be easily animated, bringing movement and life to their work. Developed by 2Simple, the children are using 2Animate to make their drawings of angels move.
This morning we used 2Animate, which is a software for a graphics program, and what I asked the children to do was a follow-up lesson from a previous one that we'd done in the week, drawing an angel, and in each slide the children were asked to change the angel. And they were asked to change the angel either with colour or effects or movement in the 4 slides.
Slide, go to your next one.
I think the advantages are it's very child friendly, and it allows the children to be very creative. The tools are fairly basic for this age range and ability, so I think that really it's a more of a Key Stage 1 package. Although my children got a lot out of it this morning, and they had a free rein with the colours and so on. They really enjoyed using the different tools. The disadvantages were that it was fairly limited in terms of colours and shading that children could use. So those kind of areas could have been extended, really. I like the way that when you put your mouse on a certain graphic, it explained what it would be used for, so that helped them. I would say in Key Stage 1 it would relate very well to the ICT scheme of work. For Key Stage 2, possibly not. So if it could be used creatively in other areas and linked to other areas of the curriculum, then that would work quite well, yes.
And then if you want to go back, you can just click on stop, okay? Remember, when you're ready to, you're looking for the picture at the top on your toolbar, which is half a man's face and half a tiger's face. Can you see that, Kaya? Yeah? Are you ready to use that one? Okay, good. So, you've done it already. Excellent.
They could type onto their picture, but they were very limited in space, and I didn't choose to use the writing because they weren't able to write very much. There was about 2 words they could have written, so it wasn't really very much point in going further with the writing. So the writing part could have been expanded, so they could have had more of an opportunity to type in part, for example, labelling their pictures and so on, and maybe doing speech bubbles for the angels. So that would have been more useful if that facility had been available.
Can I see that one? Yes, are you sure?
OK, coming to you, Dan, as our subject expert. What do you think?
The software is very basic, and it is very easy to use on a variety of levels. It's quite easy to generate a fairly straightforward animated GIF, and then it's easy enough to put it into other software like Movie Maker for Windows, which will enable you to put scenes together to make quite a big and involved animation. You can also use stop frame animation very easily. Press the button, click on a simple webcam. So it is an easy program to use. The quality that you get from it is rather limited.
So is this something that could be networked across the whole school, or is it just something that's sold on its own? Or?
Well, it is something where if you had it installed on a variety of different stations, then different children could generate different scenes, which could easily be put together to make a much larger piece of work, which would be an interesting project, because animation is new, and if it's this easy, then it means that information and ideas and learning can be developed in a much more interesting way. It's appropriate for different learning styles, as you were mentioning earlier. You know, so it's not just people who write an essay, but I can go and make a cartoon about this. Okay. So I think animation has got a lot to give us.
But one of the things that she alluded to in the software was the lack of writing capability for it. I mean, actually it's not intended as a tool for writing. It is a tool for children to understand animation. But what that does, by developing animated sequences, or a cartoon effectively, is give children an understanding of sequencing and maybe even developing character, so that they can add little bits and pieces to the character that they're animating. But what that then does is actually help to enhance their literacy skills. So it has a knock-on effect. So if you're talking about the sort of potential for integrated learning, you know, using an animated package for art actually has lots of plus points for literacy too.
What I thought was really interesting was the fact that when you bring ICT into a lesson like this, the teacher on the screen was talking about meeting ICT targets. She wasn't talking about art, she was talking about ICT. Now, where does that stop and where does that start? I think it's a real challenge. You know, when you bring in a computer, do you stop talking about your subject area and start talking about the ICT side of things? And this programme is firmly focused on the art side of things.
In our regular resource review roundup today, we have 3 alternative resources for your classroom. www.tate.org.uk/learning/kids is a free resource available on the internet, offering activities and interactive resources ideal for primary children. The book, I Can Cut and Stick by Ray Gibson, is available from Usborne. Written for primary children, this book is bright and colourful with a variety of activities and projects. The Dare Primary CD-ROM by Innova Middlesex University is written for 5 to 10-year-olds. The CD-ROM features video, voices, drawings and other work by children, and comes with supporting teachers' notes.
Okay, Dan, we've seen a vast array of resources today. Which, if any of the ones you've seen, would you put forward for a resource review recommendation?
It's a difficult question, but I think ModRock is, you can use that in any classroom. You need relatively little resources, and it will fill a gap in the primary curriculum of allowing children to make large 3-dimensional pieces of work. So I think ModRock would be my recommendation at the moment. I think there's an awful lot of power across the whole curriculum using animation and digital work, but then that's limited to teachers who have the computers to do it. So I think I'll stick with ModRock for the moment.
Okay, ModRock it is. You can find details on all of the resources that you've seen in today's programme on our website, which is teachers.tv/resource review. And of course, if you want to get in contact with us, you can do that by emailing resourcereview@teachers.tv. So, all it remains for me to do is to thank our panel for being here. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time at Resource Review. Goodbye.